All right. This is Cris Duncan, a master on the Arcanum. I'm with William Alexander. This is kind of a bonus session, I guess you would. We just finished his Sphere 0. He did his level 10 critique with me a few weeks ago, and he accepted Sphere 1, and he's on to level 11. And part of that is recreating some old work and visiting some stuff, but I kind of added my own secret sauce, I guess. Little touch to this is I'll let the apprentice be master for the week. And so William did a great job. He posted a challenge about works in progress, what people have done there, got some good responses on that. And another part of that is I submit images to William and let him, or whoever that master of the week is at that time, we've had a few so far, a few coming up right behind you, to critique some of my images. And so I think this is a great just exercise to do, to look at someone else's work, because it tends that it's easy to see things in someone else's images that we don't see in ours, even though the same problems or the same successes exist in both of them. But sometimes we're so close to our own work, we don't see it until we see someone else's. So I think this is a great exercise to get us used to looking at someone else's work, giving constructive criticism, and then helping that relate back to what we do behind the camera. So we can make our images better every time we go. So with that being said, I've already submitted 3 images to William. He likes to do a lot of construction, architectural, kind of not really street photography with people, but urban environments, I guess would be a good way to describe it. Black and white and color. And so I had to dig through some of my images to find some that kind of met that niche and submitted those to William. He's had a chance to look at it. So I'm going to give him the reins and let him take over the show. So it's all yours, William.
All right, here we go. Let's see.
No pressure.
Oh, no, never. All right, do you see my screen?
I do. Hey, that image looks familiar.
Yeah, I think you've seen it before. And I've been looking at it for a little bit, of course. Oh, wrong one. Here, I gotta get there we go. Okay. At first blush, it's just like there's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, God.
But that was, it's just, and then it start running the edges, and what's really cool is just the sweeping arc of the corner of the building, and the shadow, and all of that, and the letters, and just everything works now. Looking for possible the thing that kind of caught my eye, while it works, the little notch here adds interest, but it does kind of take away from the lettering. The moody planetarium kind of draws your eyes back over and makes them bounce back and forth across the line, which by itself works. I mean, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that, but the idea that maybe if you could simplify it and kind of do a little different crop.
Yes.
Kind of paint that out a little bit and that sort of thing, that it might work. It'll work differently. I'm not going to say it'll work better.
Oh no, yeah. I don't think it's a right or wrong, better or worse.
Yeah. And then now this becomes, the moody planetarium, the lettering becomes the absolute focal point, and you still maintain, it's kind of like not a rough or an abstract sort of sense of what we had to begin with here, where we're still kind of the balance of the weight down here is kind of running the golden mean, golden rule sort of thing. And with my crop, it kind of maintain that same balance, but moved it up. So other than that, it's an incredibly simple and lovely image, no matter how you cut it up.
Yeah, I like what you said about the notch. I took several images of this location. I was hired to do images of the Lubbock area that people would know it's Lubbock when they saw it. And if you live in Lubbock, you would know this is our planetarium. To be it as an installation for a business. They wanted several images in their business. And so I went to the museum, and I took some horizontal. This building is like I guess it kind of sweeps up on all four corners and makes a flat top. And it was built in the 70s, so it's very 70s designed.
Yeah, it's really platonic, but with that 70s hippie spin, let's say.
Right. And I didn't want it to look like old architecture. If new clients came into this business, it maybe were new to Lubbock, but I wanted to look. And so next to this is like a little walkway, and that's what that notch comes from. So I actually struggled with that notch and thought about trying to get rid of it. What really drew me to it was that it was the planetarium, and we almost had a day and night type scene in the image, sunlight and moonlight. With and I waited a few minutes for the sun, because when I got there, the shadow was going between Moody and between planetarium. It was like a few feet lower. Mm-hmm. So I had to sit there and wait for it to get, because I wanted that. So, but that's interesting about the notch. Now that I see it, I can't take my eye off of it. So I would have to say I like your crop idea. I think that really puts the focus back to what it is. So nice.
Okay. Well, I didn't butcher that one. So
not at all.
All right. And then there's this. Is this like a shopping center, mall type thing, a house?
No, that's actually from the same project. This is the west entrance to our football stadium.
Okay.
I am looking south. Of course, the sun is on the west coming in, and on the, I guess where the light's coming in, hitting that thing, there's a bunch of big arches, in which, we're at Texas Tech University here in Lubbock, and that's what they're known for. They have a lot of Spanish architecture,
mm-hmm.
A lot of big arches. And so the company requested maybe some stuff from the campus, and I said, I don't want to do the same thing that everyone, so I tried to look at it differently. And I don't know. I like this with the way I got there at the right time. The light seemed to hit it. I like the contrast of the image. I actually struggled with this on what to frame. Do I just frame the doors? Do I frame the whole? Because you kind of lose a sense of scale, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's important, because you look, that this, and I'll just dive into what
absolutely.
I saw. Perfect segue. You look at this, and just the way it's framed, this has a real, from a sense of architecture and looking at it through the image, this has a real human scale. It feels really comfortable sized. You don't get the sense that it's huge, and then you got the big frame, and then the light starts to draw you in, and you have the dark frame inside of the medium gray, and then the light, and then it just, you start looking, and all of a sudden you go, wow, those are doors. This place is huge, and I like that. I mean, it's just, that's, to me, is, capturing a sense of the, architectural relationships here. It's really an interesting play on it. That's what I find most really interesting and fascinating about it, is that this just is like, this is huge, but it doesn't feel like it. It's really inviting. It draws you into the picture.
Yeah, well, it is big. Those lanterns are probably 6 foot high. I mean, the glass part has to be, at least 4 to 6 feet. So
yeah, it is a really cool play on scale. I think.
Yeah, well, thanks. That's anything to improve on that you see, William? I go photograph this again, or you have some?
Sure.
Yeah.
We got also. This one I had fun with.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. We have the running around the corners and looking for eye buggers and stuff. we got, this little dark spot up here that kind of, draws your attention, takes away from the simplicity and keeps pulling you up. And then the shadows down here on the bottom, it just kind of, it's kind of a lopsided kind of deal. Not that, it's one of those, not that there's anything wrong with it. That's really what it is. But, darken it up, do a burn down in here just to even out this path to help draw, draw you in. Let's see what else is up there. Okay. And then there's the lights as an electrician's son, correct?
Yes.
Why are they, was it that windy or are they that crooked?
I don't know. I think it's probably the angle that I am, that I didn't want them standing on top of each other.
Okay.
So because I'm a real big, I don't know if you've heard me talk about tangents before, that
right.
You really show depth. So I wanted to show the depth through there.
But there's something unusual about it. They're like arranged in an arc.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's my camera position or
to
it
me,
could have been windy. It's Lubbock, Texas. The chances are it was.
Is this wide? Is this open all the way across down in here through the lighted area?
There is archways. So you can see the archways going down.
Okay.
And I'm facing south. So this is on the north end. The right side of the image is west. Okay. And where each one of those lanterns is another arch. So that ceiling almost makes a cathedral arch.
It's a vault. It's a vault.
It's a cathedral vaulted arch in there. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well,
and so
anyway, it's just interesting. I mean, I like that. It's just, but it's one of those ones too where you look at it and it's curious. So
yeah, and the arches on the right, on the west side, are the same height as they are there. So I guess since there's 4 lanterns, there's 4 big arches.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if wind blows, and it typically blows out of the southwest here, it could easily, you can see some guidelines on those fixtures holding them in place. Yeah. Because I bet they sway quite a bit when we get our big storms coming in. So
okay. Well, it's one of those. It's just interesting. Now, some of it could just be, I guess, some of it could just be a little bit. Well, that's too much for lens distortion. But okay, let's see now. Where was I? Okay, we got that, and then I got the swing in there again, and then this little circle out here, just going a little bit of. I don't know if the symmetry in there would help so much. It's just that this one's really dark. This one's really kind of light.
Yes.
It just kind of pulls your attention off to the left a little bit.
Yeah. I agree with that. Especially with that dark square you already pointed out up there, that it really pulls you up to the top.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, excuse me while I have a coffee fit.
Don't die on us.
No, not planning on it. All right, and now looking at this, did you do did you do any adjustment as far as vertical, horizontal sort of flattening?
I'm sure I did some perspective correction. When I do architectural, I'm pretty big on verticals being straight.
Vertical, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure I did. It still seems like it has a little bow to it. When you pointed out the shadow on the ground, I can see that, and I'm trying to think if that's drainage or if that's a distortion.
I don't know. I went in just because it's, I looked at it and it almost seems a little twisted too. Like the top is off to the right a little bit, but when you go in and you start looking real close at the lines, there, it's pretty close.
Yeah, it does kind of have a little, like a bow in the middle, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like the the camera correction. There was more distortion put on it, but now up here at the top, well, I don't know. I just, there's just something.
Well, I do know I was.
I had to drive in and dig deep to look for stuff. So
Well, I do know on this one I wasn't. You know, I'm trying to remember because I remember looking at the light fixtures and trying to keep them from stacking on top of one another, but still trying to keep the doors the center. And so, yeah, that could be just some distortion. I really see it at the bottom. It almost looks like the sidewalk barrels a little bit. And I don't know if that's the shadowing that you mentioned before on there, that it, since I don't have it in that bottom right-hand corner, it almost seems like we're pulling to the right-hand side. And
Yep.
maybe that's some of it. Now you got me intrigued. I would have to go jiggle with this file again.
it's one of those. I always pick up on it, especially when we start talking buildings and stuff. The draftsman in me.
Right.
It's just like, oh man, you just know it's off. That and the CG stuff and the architectural visualization I did, it just bing, it just jumps out, and but it's nitpicky.
Well, it's still refinements, and that's what we're looking.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not an overhaul. It's just a minor tuning. So that's great.
And then let's see, what do we got? And then maybe just a little crop or something to draw this side in, because it's a little
It's
it's a little farther away, but
Yep.
but here we start looking at the brick. You can start seeing the straightening and that sort of thing. Well, I pulled everything straight. We're even over here and over here, in the size of the brick across here, and here is the same, but out here on the ends it's not.
Gotcha.
So that, I think that's kind of like the visual cue that says distortion or twist. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And let's see what else. And then I put it's either burn it in a little bit or get rid of it. But either way, let's see how that looks. Let me get this.
Yeah, crop it up to those marks. I want to see that. Wonderful. That's interesting.
And then there's always the possibility that the walls are actually crooked.
Truly not.
I didn't really consider anything, but this was probably 2000, 2005, 2006 or so. They had Image Modeler. You ever hear that?
Yeah, that's probably about the right time frame. Maybe
That's
04.
when
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
it came out in that, and I was playing with that a lot, and I actually got to the point where I could tell where masonry structures, where the tilt in the mason, I could find the tilt in the masonry wall if the pictures were the resolution was high enough. When you start putting all the pieces together and lining everything up, a 12, 15 foot tall wall is going to have a setback of at least an inch, inch and a half, just by standard rule. You never build it perfectly plumb; it always leans in. So, I mean, there could be a little bit of twisty here going on too.
Yeah.
So that's that. So I think I've had enough fun with this one.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. Was great feedback on that.
Okay, well,
Really was.
Let's see here. Okay.
Yeah, and this one was for I have photographed this shopping center probably 4 times, Um, and they're right across the street from a very popular shopping center. And so they've always they always say, make our place look different. Because the other place has, I guess, bigger name stores and little higher end stuff. And they said, we want to know that we want people to know that we're on this corner as well. So I photographed this 4 times, and they just opened the Campese's restaurant, and a few more stores had come in. So they hired me to come photograph it again for them. So, and I'm like, man, it's just an L. How else am I going to, so I kind of struggled with how to make this place look interesting again. I did add the sky. We did shoot it at dusk, or at dawn, sorry. Had a maintenance guy there working to make sure all the lights were on outside. I had to flag some parking lot lights and stuff that were in the way, but yeah, so it's kind of, sometimes that's a challenge. Like, how do you make a building look really interesting?
Yeah. Cool. Now, was the parking lot wet? Did it rain, or did you do something with mirroring the image to get the reflections to make it look wet?
You know, the first time I photographed this, I rented a water truck and I wet it down. And the second time I photographed this, we did the thing again. And this time I said, I think, and it's really turned out good. I said that I didn't rent a water truck because the day we had this scheduled, something happened, and it wasn't, like, one of the outside lights wasn't hooked up, one of the signs or something, and we couldn't shoot. So I'm really glad I didn't rent a water truck for that day. So this was actually a photoshopped reflection.
Okay. So,
but they wanted that because all the previous ones have had real water on them.
Good. Now, just out of curiosity, before I start talking about this, how did this compare to the water, the actual real water? Is it similar, a little cleaner?
Oh man, I haven't really looked. I sent it to them because they were like, "Can we get the same look?" And I sent it to them, and they said, "Oh, this looks great." So,
okay. Well, it's within the viewers.
I think it's a little sharper than probably real water is. I think the real water, because the real water some parts are more distorted because the pavement isn't level.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have pockets that hold more water and some that just have a little sheen and some that have puddles.
Right.
And you get a little more of an unevenness, I think, with the real water than I did doing this.
Well, this definitely has a CG, CG architectural visualization kind of feel to it because of that. It's kind of cool. All right. Well, let's see what do I got here.
Tree.
Well, the tree's a little dark.
Yep.
It
is.
Or we make the tree go bye-bye. That's what all this the hash marks are for. I didn't go through and try to edit that out. I really don't like the crop tool that much. And then we got little nitpicky things like the outlet down here that's kind of like hanging out there out of the blue, and then it looks like somebody barfed while they were driving. Like it was morning, and they were just beer from the night before. Let's see, little spot here, and I'm sure you took out more of the parking lot street lights. This little piece down in here is kind of interesting because it almost, I want to say, not that it'd be easy to get rid of because of how it covers stuff up in here, doing the cloning and that be rough. but you know, it almost stops you from running off the edge of the picture.
Hmm.
I don't, you know, like I said, I'm really looking deep, 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 deep.
That's fine. That's perfect.
And then, you know, like back over here, we got the little light glow edge that probably should be cropped. And same thing with this little hoop-de-doo up top. Um, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure if the trees work or not. The little treetops. It's, you
Yeah.
know, it, I
It does.
guess.
Well, I think it does break up that nice linear line you have with
Yeah,
this. Yep.
yeah. So you know, it's one of those. Yeah. All right. The really big thing, I guess, is the at least, and it's the same on both my monitors. Um,
Right.
is
Yeah.
is kind of the blowout in here. Um, you know, something to kind of draw that. You know, take it down. I mean, they're just it's it. There's too much. You know, it's blown out.
Yeah. It's yep.
You know, or at least here at the JPEG level, it's blown out. You know, that kind of jumps out and takes away from the village signs, kind of bookending the view. Let's see what else. Other than that, I played with it a little bit and just kind of.
So what did you do to that sign? Just I mean,
I took
is that a curves level or a levels
yep,
adjustment? Curves.
yep. I took yeah, that says sign. I just kind of where you going here? Oh, there we go. It's working. Ah,
It may be a little slower with the connection. So
yeah. Well, it better not be. This is still a pretty decent, pretty decent system. Yeah, I just tried to kill the bring up the darks
yeah.
and just just a darker tone curve type thing on it, just to kind of that to me that helped. It just helps helps it flow because this in the end this is architecturally anyway. This is about the linear progression from left to right. You know the rhythm through here with the openings and the arches and stuff, and then you have flourishes of entryways that kind of break it up. Using the musical type
Uh-huh.
expression or that sort of thing. And I just kind of played that up a little bit and um, kind of took well that and originally there's a lot of it just for whatever reason this pulled yellow. Everything pulled a bit yellow to me. That some of it might be my monitor, but this color yellow is um, it's hard to reproduce. Am I correct?
Um, yeah, it could have been a little yellow. So, I mean, it's a very Spanish stucco. So,
Well, yeah. I dealt with this in um, the studio I worked in. We had the owner and the art director wanted yellow sort of things for a big deal that we were pre-visiting in Dallas, and it just this color of yellow is such a narrow band of color that light everything affects pulls it warm or cold, green or
yep,
orange. It's hard to hit that yellow,
yep.
and that's probably why that jumped out at me because all I saw was yellow all the way across, and that's not necessarily natural, I guess. But either way, I mean, I'm not ripping on what you know,
Oh, no, not at all.
it just, and then basically what I did is I just kind of took through levels, took it down to more of a twilight type time, just darkened it up a little bit, and then bring out the rhythm. That we have the entry here. It just kind of highlights those and breaks it up and makes it less this gallery that this is, where it just kind of like uniformly ties together, and it just kind of using the blues and the yellows and the shifts that naturally come from the warm light and this is my architectural visualization speaking now. Using the warm lights with the cool sky effect, ambient light, they just kind of highlight it. That's that's that. So that's I guess that's all I have to say about it. It makes each entry, and it adds, it draws attention to each right. Store, each entry. It's one of those, it's even drafting, doing the architectural type drafting, the real stuff, the pen on mylar, ink on mylar type stuff. That those pilasters, those pillars, and all that stuff would actually have a bolder, would use a thicker pen for bolder impact of whatever hatching or lines that went through it to make them pop, as opposed to the just the gallery covers underneath. So I mean that's just where that came from.
That's interesting. So, I took drafting, so I understand the pen and the mylar and all of that.
Yeah,
so.
but you never had a college architecture professor.
I did for one semester.
Did you? How did that feel?
Well, it was one semester, so then I dropped out of architecture. So that's really what I thought I was going to do, was architecture. Thankfully, that's not what I went into, because I love what I do now. But
yeah,
I had so you're saying you'd use like a 0.9 on that instead of a 0.5 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
so that's interesting with the color, the rhythm of the color. I think that's a great point. Even for anybody that might watch this, is because that works for portraiture too. So I guess I hadn't connected it, at least on this image, because here I was dealing with, of course, the incandescence of the wall lanterns that shine up and down. I had parking lot lights that you can see it kind of in the bottom left corner, hitting that pavement there.
Okay.
And then I had the sunrise, which is very blue. So yeah, there was lots of color temperatures here. But that's interesting how you use that to highlight on the different, I guess, featured places of the store, of the shopping center. So
yeah,
I like
if modeling this in CG, and that sort of thing, this is naturally what would end up happening, is that the sky influence would be real great, real blue. And then you got to kind of like, you overpower that with the color temperature of the actual light shining up and down. And just from a starting point, it'd tend to go this way. So, I mean, that's kind of where it's a whole bunch of things. It's just that having done it, studied it, having ripped on, critiqued and all that, it came to mind.
So that's interesting. So when you were taking your CAD drawings, in rendering, that's something they taught you is about that?
No, no, I learned all that. Basically I made it through. I was a junior. I bailed in the middle of my junior year of college just because there was no work. I mean, at that point in time, it was the great Goonie Goo recession, and it was really bad. That my perspective of getting a degree, bachelor's degree in architecture and working, and getting a job was like, I'd be lucky to get a job working for the El Cheapo Builders expediting homes. And I just, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to go out and swing a hammer.
Right.
So I kind of bailed on that, but I came back to it with the contracting thing. I came back, 1999. I had an exceptionally good year, so I got AutoCAD, the architectural desktop, and not Lightroom, Lightscape as a bonus, and some training and stuff with it. So I started from that, and it kind of blossomed into 2005, 2006. Basically, I freelanced some architectural visualization. I did some commercial animation, that sort of stuff. But it was just, the art, and I took a lot of art classes in college, just because it was like basket weaving classes that would keep my grade point average up. I mean, I just, I had the first class I took, the intro to fine arts or whatever. I mean, the professor was talking to me about my senior project and my senior portfolio stuff. I'm like, I'm looking at him going, that's not even on my radar. But I guess I impressed him because I took a couple classes where I needed the professor's approval to take the classes. And I one class in particular, I was a full, you needed to be a junior, and I was a sophomore. But I went to him. He said, "No, you can take it. It's furniture design, the chair." It was a cool class. So some of that too, I realized I had capabilities to build stuff.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right.
So,
all right, now how do I get back here? Get back
there you
to.
go. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's what I love about this. Even, whether I agree or disagree is beyond the point, right? It's like you took your experiences and stuff that you've learned, and you projected that into this. And I thought it worked well. I'm a lighting guy. I teach a lot of lighting, and I tell my students, it has to be believable. And I think that's kind of what you were coming from with that. Well, this shouldn't be that color because it's getting hit with this. It's not believable. I think that's really the key, what you were trying to say there. And it's just interesting how that came through a rendering background, and mine came through a photography background, and they meet in the middle, and you're able to give me some very positive feedback on that image to improve its believability. I think it gave it depth. I think it gave it more motion, like you said. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So
the one thing about the CG architectural visualization is that it is all 100%, especially the photoreal part of it. It's all photography. It's like reverse engineered, but it is all photography, and it all crosses over. Like I say, I kind of, I've always enjoyed taking pictures. I didn't have a buttload of money. I couldn't go out and, burn $30 worth of film and spend $200 to have, a couple hundred negatives developed and all of that stuff. And just, but the, I started to see all the crossover, and there's so much that crosses over, and you can feed each other, that I really kind of came into the photography thing being more of an art form and an expression, and taking it beyond just trying to take good work pictures kind of thing. And it kind of blossomed into doing what I'm doing now. Out of it, it was a perfect sidestep segue into it. It was just, everything meshed. It was weird. There's a lot of an incredibly large amount of connection. I mean, I can actually go through and pre-visualize lighting scene. I mean, I can actually start thinking about lighting scenes in my 3D apps, and actually have it be photometrically represent what it is in the real world. So, I mean, they do a lot of that with
That's cool. Yeah.
When they blend the CG, and the visual effects side of it. There's a lot of that where they actually go through and they kind of do it in both, so that they can get the lighting right. They preset it all up. I mean, I got a whole stack of DVDs on how, from a director's viewpoint and a management viewpoint, how that all how that all works. So they're good. So, all right, I'm gonna stop rambling.
No, that's cool. That's fun. So, I've had an interesting. I think that's what's neat about these feedback sessions is I could send these same 3 images to someone else and get completely different interpretations and feedback and critiques and pluses and minuses. And of course, you could do the same with your images, and that's what I think is cool about our community. And we all have a different experience that's brought us to where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was an electrician, so I grew up swinging a hammer. The first time I said, "Dad, I need money," I was digging ditches, right?
Yeah.
And I've got my electrical license. I wanted to study architecture, but I decided I hated that. It's funny. I dropped out of architecture because it was all computer when I got in. And I had done drafting in high school. I mean, T-square and slides and ink pen. And I had the whole, from 0.1 to 1.4, I had the whole ink set and drew all these things on Mylar and had the overlapping. I mean, the whole deal, right? And we get to architecture class and he goes, "You won't touch a pen for 2 years." I'm like, screw this. I wanted to work with my hands, and here I am in a profession. I love it. I love don't get me wrong. I love what I do.
But what a contrast to my experience. You needed to be the professor, the dean's pet to even touch AutoCAD. And it was nowhere near, I was nowhere close to it. I mean, it was all the graduate level students, and they had to be, it was the best of those best to be able to touch a seat or two that they had of AutoCAD. So everything was right from the beginning. Pen and ink, 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 stipple, 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 stipple.
Yeah. So anyway, but here we are working on computers. Anyway, but I wouldn't trade any of it. So, but man, that was a great feedback. I think you did a great job. I learned something from it. I'd never seen some of the things you pointed out, and I think that's the beauty of this. Even for me, they call us a master. By no means do I think I know the answer to anything in all this. It's my experiences that I've learned that I can pass on, just like you were able to do there. So for anyone that watches this, and for us, I think it's so important that we have that relationship with somebody to say, "What do you think of this? What do you see?" And what they tell you may be a pile of BS, but at least it's a perspective we haven't thought of that we can start, Yeah.
No, I'm used to this. The area and the people that I dealt with the CG and the visual effects stuff. The community was, the conversations we had were just like this. It was all online, but it was all just open feedback. There was nothing, one of the really cool people that came out that really got a big boost from that community was Robin Griggs Woods. She's a master. I know of Robin. Yeah, I met her. Yeah, she was in that group, and this is it. This is what had happened, and the feedback you get from people like Robin was just totally incredible. I mean, she just, and unfortunately the community kind of died, but this is it. This type of feedback, I'm trying to get back on my train of thought here. This type of feedback is what allows you to absolutely grow.
Absolutely.
And just move in the cool and better directions.
Absolutely. So, well, it was fun. I appreciate your input and your candor and the conversation. And I think if people want to watch this, I hope they do, and I hope they learn something from it. So I'm going to go and end the live broadcast now, but then so